Hi everyone, welcome to Happy On Air Sales Mastery Systems. We are on day 4 today. I hope all of you are doing well. I hope all of you are taking action. That's the most important thing which I keep telling people. You benefit only when you take action. So we have shared lots of strategies. We have started developing the system. So I hope you have been implementing these things. So I hope you have been working on how you can build rapport, how you can give referrals to people, how you can give gifts to people, how you can give compliments to people, how you can establish a connect, how you can get people to like you. I hope you have been working and understanding how people buy because of certain pains they might have, and your product or service solves those pain points. So how you can make sure get people to realize those pain points. I hope you've started observing, analyzing, all the marketing you see around yourself. And most importantly, when we start in the beginning, I hope in your head you have already started believing. So you have a goal which you look at every day, and in your head you have a strong belief that you are a master influencer. You have already mastered the sales mastery system and your sales are growing. So I hope you have been doing all of that, because that's very important. Today in day 4, I'm going to be sharing with you something very, very powerful. If you remember the online seminar you attended, I shared my 7 laws, my 7 personal laws and strong beliefs when it comes to selling. And the first one, which I believe is super important, super powerful, is, if you recall, don't accept everyone as your client. Don't accept everyone as your client. I keep telling this to people. Many people, unfortunately, the old school sales training has taught them, whoever you meet should be your client. And that's the worst thing that can happen, because so many people have clients who waste their time, who don't pay them, who don't respect them. So today what I'm going to share with you is how you can select your clients, how you can choose your clients. And these clients are clients which will drive you, which will drive your success, which will drive your growth. And that's the thing. If you think in terms of abundance, which I always do, we have 7 billion people on this planet. Now from these 7 billion people, you don't need everyone as your client. Get that in your mind. You don't need everyone. Even Amazon, which is a $1 trillion company, doesn't serve 7 billion people. They might be serving at most 1 billion or 1.5 billion people, which is around 10 to 15% of that entire population. So, and they've become a $1 trillion company. So you don't need everyone as your client. Get this in your mind, get this in your subconscious. Understand this, because everyone doesn't deserve to be your client. Everyone is not a right fit to be your client. That's a belief you need to have. I believe everyone doesn't have the privilege and honor to be my client. And I say this with modesty. I don't say it with arrogance. I say it with modesty. What do I mean by this? Let's say, I'll give you an example. Let's say you're somebody who is a yoga teacher, for example, or you're a psychic healer, or you're anything. Not everybody will understand your product or service, and that's why not everybody should be your client. You need to get this in mind. So what are the 3 areas that determine who should be your client? I'm going to share these with you. This is what I call the WMD. What is the WMD? So if you want to write it down, please write it down. It's very powerful. Write down WMD, one after the other. WMD. What is the WMD? It's a triangle. It's a WMD triangle. If you write it down, I'll show it to you how it is. So you make a triangle, and on the top you write W. So right on the top of the triangle you write W, here you write M, and here you write D. I hope you can see this. So WMD. This doesn't stand for weapons of mass destruction, no, as a few of you might be thinking. Then what does WMD stand for? So for anybody to be your client, these are 3 powerful elements that are needed. And if you realize that, if you even study your successes, all the sales successes you have had in the past, you will see all these 3 elements are there. And now you can make this into a system for yourself, for your team. If you have a sales team, for your team, for anybody, we have this for our team, and you can implement it. The first thing, W. What is W? Is the potential prospect or the potential client who you're meeting should have a lot of want for your product. They should really want to have your product or service. That's the most important thing. So they should really be wanting, they should have a deep desire, and you should be able to trigger pain points that increase the want. Remember I told you about pain? So you should be able to trigger pain points in them so that they keep wanting your product or your service or anything you're doing more and more. What do I mean by this? For example, let's say somebody sells hair transplant treatments. You're a doctor, somebody is a doctor, and they sell these hair transplant treatments. I'm sure you must be aware of this. Haven't you seen these ads of hair transplant? Let us say you're a doctor, you're somebody selling hair transplant treatment. You were to approach me and you were trying to speak to me, and you speak to me about your hair transplant treatment. Do you think I have a want for hair transplant? If you look at me, you will say, of course not. I have a lot of hair on my head. So no matter how much you try on me, you're wasting your time. So the first thing, I have no want for a hair transplant treatment because I have hair. But on the other hand, if you were to go to somebody, if you're selling a hair transplant treatment, if you were to go somebody who has a small bald patch here or here, suddenly you can trigger pain points. So if you see any ad about hair transplant treatment, they show the guy, whoever they're targeting, is sad when they don't have hair, and when they have the hair, they feel happy. They're connecting on a base level. What are they trying to say? They're trying to make you feel bad, right? Because your hair is falling, you start feeling the pain, you start feeling bad, and then you get the hair transplant treatment. It's the same with hair dye. If you see any ad for hair dye or hair color, that's the basis of it. So first somebody starts getting some white hair, they are made to feel bad, and then what's the solution? The solution is that hair color or hair dye or whatever, and they'll have a tagline like L'Oreal, you're worth it. So that means you're worth it. You should invest that money to buy that product. So the first thing you need to understand is what are the wants your product or service satisfies in people. So what are the wants people have? What are the pain points you can trigger and satisfy? I want you to write down W, and below W, 30 seconds. I want it to come from your subconscious. I want it to be fast. I want you to write down how many of our wants your product or service can satisfy. Fast. I want to do it fast because I want you to go in your subconscious, and your subconscious comes up with answers like that. So in 30 seconds, write down all the wants and desires your product or service satisfies. Write it down fast. Great. So now that you've written down the wants and desires your product or service satisfies, the first thing you need to do is target who are the people who have these wants or desires. Who do you feel might have these wants or desires? And you need to target only those people. So if you're running an ad campaign, target those. If you're calling, target those. Anything you're doing, if you're doing online marketing, if you're using Facebook ads, if you're using Instagram, we will come to some of those strategies. You're using LinkedIn, target those people. So in your head, have a clear target audience. So the first thing is whose wants and desires you can satisfy. And the more specific you are, the better. So for example, if you're selling hair transplant treatment, the first is wants and desires. The second thing, the M, what does M stand for? The first is W, the second is M, very, very important. And I want to tell you, M stands for money. Let's say, because it's very important your customer, your potential client has the money. Let's say I'm bald, or let's say somebody is bald, okay? And they have a deep desire for a hair transplant treatment, right? But they don't have any money. Is it going to work out? If your customer doesn't have the money, it's not going to work out. So for having a hair transplant treatment, the person needs a certain income level. They need to have a certain amount of money, or they need to be a financial plan with which, there are financial plans which people give. But anyway, they should be able to figure out how they can afford your product or service. That's very important. If people can't afford your product or service, you shouldn't target them because they are not the right clients. I'll give you an example. Somebody came to me, they told me, Yogesh, we tried a lot of things, we did the rapport thing, we established rapport. For 1 month, we went back and forth. And when the time of decision came, the person who had to make the decision said, yes, I love your product or service, but unfortunately, I don't have a budget. Has it ever happened with you? You have invested 1 month, 2 months of your time, whatever, or 1 week or 1 hour or whatever of your time you have invested. And the end of the thing, the person says, you know what? I really like you. I love your product or service, but you know what? I don't have the money. That's very important. So you need to figure out the money aspect. How do you figure it out? There are many ways you can figure it out. The simplest and the best way is to ask respectfully. I'll tell you how. For example, let's say somebody calls our team. I'll share with our team, for example. Somebody calls our team. So, first our team figures out if they have a want. So let's say we are selling some consulting service. So they are selling consulting service. Our team will ask them, I just want to make sure before we share more details that you have a budget in place for this. So they say, yes, we have a budget. And now they're curious, what's the budget? So my team might say anything, depending what's the quantum. So they say, this is anywhere between the range of 10 to 15 crores, if it's for a large corporate, or 10 to 20 crores. And now, right there, if the customer says, that's not in my budget, that's way beyond my budget, they will not sell them that product. So they might sell them an online program or something else. So immediately, the team saves time. So it could be, or sometimes, customers don't like, they say, we have a budget. Many times you go, you're in real estate or anything, the customer might be, don't worry, I have the budget. You say, okay, the reason I'm asking you, of course you have a budget, I'm sure you have a budget, be respectful, but the reason I'm asking you because I have properties which are in the range of 5 to 10 crores, 2 to 5 crores and 1 to 2 crores. Which property range should I show you? So you give them 3 options and they'll say, oh, show me 1 to 2 crores, or show me 50, show me. So you need to get this out. So many times customers might tell you, this happens a lot with customers, they don't want to, nobody wants to tell you I don't have the money, right? So you need to train your people or train yourself to ask the right question. So if somebody tells, no matter what you're selling, let it out there, and below a certain point don't sell, right? If you go to a luxury car showroom, they're not going to sell below a certain point. Example, if you look at a company called Burberry, they sell these luxury bags, 3,000, 5,000, 2 lakh, 3 lakh, 4 lakh, 5 lakh rupees, and every year they throw away bags because they don't want to sell them cheaper. So they rather throw away the product than sell it cheap, because there's a certain standard, right? If somebody spent 3 lakhs on a bag and somebody else is getting that for 1,000 or 2,000 rupees, it reduces the brand value. So you need to figure out where you are. Whatever it is, even if you're selling low cost. So for example, if you're selling Bata, your strategy will be different from selling Nike. Both are great brands. It's just a different target audience. I'm not saying you should only target people who can afford products of a certain value. If you're selling cars of Hyundai or Honda or Maruti or Toyota, your strategy will be different as compared to if you're selling, Bugatti or Bentley or Rolls Royce or whatever. That doesn't matter. You need to be clear in your mind. So even if you're selling a product which is for 500 rupees or 100 rupees or 50 rupees or 10 rupees, you need to make sure the person you're targeting has that money. If that person doesn't have 10 rupees or 50 rupees, they cannot afford your product. So they can't purchase it. So that's the most important thing. Make sure right before you get started, you figure out that the client you're going to, the potential client you're going to, has the money. A lot of people make this mistake. A lot of people are hesitant to ask. But let me tell you, in business, if you're hesitant, or even in life, if you're not bold, if you're not brave, if you don't ask questions. So our team, when they ask the question, if the person says, that's not the budget we have in mind, so they say, very respectfully, these are some of our online products, this is the pricing, this is what it is. You could invite him for a speaking engagement, 1 hour session, this is what it will cost you, whatever, 7, 6, 10 lakhs, whatever. This is what it is, There might be other things you have in mind, but this is what it is, this is our budget. So once you set that up, it's very, very powerful. I can't tell you how powerful this is. And I'll tell you also an example, what happens when you do this. It's very powerful because many times, so people are afraid to reject clients. Many times people are afraid, they want to accept everyone, they want to accept everyone. But many times, I'll tell you a story, for example. I'll share my own story. So, as I told you, we started a construction company in an area called Khar Bandra, Santa Cruz. And with a partner, we started this company. And I remember when we had just started, some of these real estate agents came to us and they wanted to undercut our pricing. They thought we are new, whatever. But we decided to price ourselves higher than everybody else. So everybody else in the market was here. We priced ourselves 20% higher. And they said, oh, your price is too high, this person is selling lower. We said, this is our price. We know we are going to sell out. We know this is our price because what we are giving is way beyond what anybody else is offering in the market. This is the best product created ever, and we are not going to negotiate because we are going to sell out. We are in no hurry to sell. We are in absolutely no hurry to sell because we know the product we are creating is ultimate luxury. It's a beautiful product, excellent product, and many of these guys did not buy, and they started talking about us. They said, you know, these guys, this Yogesh guy, these guys, who do they think they are? They're charging so much, and all of that gave us so much publicity, free publicity, and that message went to the type of client we wanted. So we wanted somebody who understands high quality, and we sold out. We sold out because we understood human psychology. Have you ever done this? Have you ever badmouthed somebody and told, you know, these guys, they charge so much, who do they think they are? Have you ever done that? You're giving them publicity, and that's what it is. So depending on what sort of product you are, so we are selling a luxury product. That's what it was, an exclusive product. That's why it was that way. Why do you think iPhone has lines before they launch? Why do you think they have such long lines? You don't think they can increase their production? Of course they can, because they want that publicity. They want the media to cover all those lines outside their shops, so people see it and they think it's popular. That's called social proof. We'll come to it later. You know how when many people accept certain things, it becomes powerful. It's called social proof. We'll share it later as we proceed. There's a lot I want to share. I'll share that about social proof later. So that's the powerful thing about sticking to your price. Money, even if you're an employee, if you believe for a company you can create value, you can create 10x, 100x value of your salary, stick to your salary. Whatever you deserve, stick to it. You will get the right company. It's that way in everything. So the first is want, the W. So figure out that your potential customers have a deep want or desire for your product, or you can arouse that want or desire for your product. The second is money. And the third thing, very, very important, is they have to be decision makers. Don't go to somebody who is not a decision maker. A lot of times this happens, especially in corporates, because there are so many divisions, it happens. So they go, the company might have a want, they might have a budget, they might have money, but the person you are speaking with is not the decision maker. Has it happened with you? The company has a want, you have been able to convince them. They have the money, understand it. But when it comes to decision, the person says, you know what, I'm not the decision maker. There's somebody else I need to check. So again, how do you figure this out? Ask upfront, and there's a way to ask. So for example, let's say somebody contacts you, or you go in a conversation, or anyway they connect with you, and you ask them, I just want to know, we are discussing about this product I want to sell you, a service I want to sell you, if it's especially in a corporate, I just want to know, are you the final decision maker? Would you be making the final decision on this, or are there other people also involved? Now, if they say yes, you say that's great. I just want to check. And if you suspect, sometimes, for example, I'll share an example with you. This happens with a lot. So somebody from HR might call our team. Somebody from HR, beautiful people. HR is beautiful people. They might call our team, and our team asks them, are you guys the final decision makers on this, on this area, because we are doing a program on sales or whatever, and if they say yes, our team asks, okay, that's beautiful, so are you trying to tell me, they ask a flip question, that's beautiful, I agree that, but are you confirming, this is the word, are you confirming that nobody else from the sales team, from the CEO, from the promoter would be involved in this decision? Is that a confirmation I can have? And they might then start saying, oh, you know what, even our CEO is involved in this decision, or even the head of sales is involved. So then our team says, okay, if they are involved, your time is valuable, our time is valuable, get them, loop them in the conversation. And that's how things go. So people many times, if you ask them point blank, are you the decision maker? They might tell you yes, but you need to probe deeper and understand if they really are a decision maker. So for example, let's say you're selling somebody, a TV, or you're selling somebody a home entertainment system, or you're selling somebody IT equipment. Figure out, so if you're selling somebody a TV and a guy is coming to buy, and you need to figure out if he is the only decision maker, or he has to involve his wife, if he has to involve his kids. And then if you loop them in, if you bring them into the conversation, your ability to sell becomes better. Or if you're selling IT systems, is it only the CEO who's going to take the decision, or it's also the chief technology officer? Depending on what you're selling, find out who are the decision makers. Many times, if it's a large process, if you're doing large sales, corporate sales, you might have 3 or 4 key decision makers, and you need to figure out which ones you need to target, how you need to target, what's their psychology, and get them on board. That's how you sell. So you never enter a combat mode. So with all the things, all the 3 pointers, so it's the want, it's the money with D, that's the decision makers. All 3, you need to be polite. You don't need to be rude, but at the same time you need to be firm. You need to be respectful of your time, because your time is precious. A lot of times I see people, they waste their time, so they go after leads, where there's no decision maker, where the person doesn't respect them, the person calls, the other person doesn't revert. The other person doesn't revert because they don't have a need for your product or service, or they don't have a money, or they're not decision makers, and they can't tell you, I'm not a decision maker, because they have wasted 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 1 month of your time. This happens with people who are not professionals, who are not experts. So to be an expert, you need to figure these things out. So before you invest time, depending, some high value sales might take longer, some might be quicker, but no matter whether it's long or low, you need to figure out who is your client base, and don't waste your time, don't waste your resources, because I believe time is life. Your time is valuable, my time is valuable. I always believe you're also wasting the other person's time if the other person doesn't have money. For example, if I'm dealing with somebody and they don't have money, and my team or we share ideas, we share things with them, and in the end, they can't afford it, they end up losing time. Rather you tell them, when you have the money, come to us. Figure it out, work it out. We have certain products which you might be able to afford. Start off with those products. Start out with what we have. And when you can afford it, and that's happened with a lot of people. People have taken some of our online programs, picked up a book, worked for it 6 months, 3 months, 5 months, 1 year, built money, and then come back. And then they value us more. That's what you need to do. You need to create value in the minds of people. And this is the most important thing you can do. I want you to write down how, right now I want you to write down how you can use the WMD model in your business, in your life, in your career. So how can you use wants? What sort of people you want? How can you target people with certain types of money who are suitable for you? So who's the right client and the decision maker? So I want you to create something of an ideal customer for you. So if you were to target somebody, we all have our ideal woman or ideal man in our life. So before I got married, I had a certain thing I want a girl, who has certain qualities. She should be respectful, she should be spiritual, she should be nice, she should be kind. All those things are very important. I remember there was a girl who looked, when I was in college, she looked beautiful, this girl. And once I was going with her in the auto, we just started speaking, we were going in the auto, and she was very rude to the auto person. She was very, very rude. And immediately I was put off. I was turned off. Because I like people who respect others, and I said, no, this is not somebody I want to have a relationship with. So these are qualities you need to figure out. It's the same with our clients. I want clients who are at the same wavelength. If I give respect, I want respect back. If I give time, I want the same time back. If I'm willing to share something, I want the client to work. Now those are qualities which I have. So we have our team, we have an ideal client, and if somebody doesn't match all those criteria, we don't accept them as a client. So besides these WMDs, we also have psychological traits. These are certain things we want in our client. And if somebody doesn't match all these, we don't accept them as our client. And you know what's happened since we have installed that system in our business? Our business has grown, our brand has grown. Now people who want us really want us, So we are booked because we have these systems in place. We don't accept everybody because we want only a certain kind of places. And that's what happens with the top 1% in every field and industry. And that's what I want you to do. I don't want you to be at the base. I want you to be the top 1%, and you can be. You look at the top 1% of colleges. So we work, for example, with IITs. We work with all the IITs, IIT Bombay, IIT Delhi, IIT Madras, all of them, with the e-cells, with the entrepreneurship cells, how can they scale up, with their companies, all those things. And if you see IIT, one of the reasons the IITs are so successful is because they have such strict criteria. So only if you're somebody who has worked very, 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 very hard, you can enter. If not, you can't enter. So that's the thing. So the basic ingredient is good. It's the same with Harvard. It's the same with Stanford. Am I saying you should be an IIT? No, what I'm saying is you could adopt the same principle. In every industry, the top 1% demand that from their customers. So if you look at the best actors, they will not accept any role. They will accept only if the script suits them. They will accept to work with a producer, director or studio only if that producer, director matches their terms. And that's what you need to aspire for. So you need to become so good. It's the same with the best singers, with the best cricketers, with the best artists, with the best engineers, with the best architects, with the best doctors. So the best doctors will work only in the best hospitals. So all these criteria, you need to put it down. You need to put it down into your system, and you need to figure out who is your ideal customer, and you should work only with people who match the standard. Anybody else, don't accept. Don't accept. That's very, very powerful. Don't accept everyone. I want you to write it down right now. Take a minute or two. I want you to get started and write it down. And now, not later. Later you can think about it more, but right now, if you were to write down, you have 1 or 2 minutes, what are you going to write down? Or maybe a minute. Write down right now, who is your ideal customer? What are the qualities you want? How should their payment terms be? Everything, you could define them. You could even go, the experts even go to their psychology. What sort of music must this person be listening to? What sort of clothes this person must be wearing? What sort of food this person would be wearing? The deeper you go, the more specific you go, the more mindset ideas you get. Write it down right now. Great, I'm sure you've written it down. And different businesses can have different verticals. So for example, let's say you wrote down your ideal customer. You figured out what are the wants they might be having, what is the money they need to have, and the D is the decision making. And then you wrote a couple of trades. But you can also have segments. So for example, you can have a higher segment. So you can have a product that is highly priced, which is targeting somebody, and you can have a lower segment too. It happens with a lot of, for example, car manufacturers. This is very common in car manufacturers. So if you look at a company like Toyota, Toyota has cars, starting at maybe 9 lakhs, 8 lakhs, 10 lakhs, going up to maybe, the Fortuner, for example, might be 30, 40 lakhs. So that is one segment. So each has a different segment. So a hatchback might be having a different segment, but they also have a luxury brand called Lexus. So they have not branded it Toyota, it might be manufactured in the same plant. It's called Lexus. So Lexus, even though it's owned by the same company, it will have a different showroom, it will have different marketing, it will have different branding. And Lexus is competing with Mercedes-Benz, with Jaguar, with BMW, with Audi, whereas Toyota might be competing with Honda, with Hyundai, with Suzuki, with those brands, with Nissan. And they have two brands. So why have they done it? Because they want to distinguish between their customers. They have divided their customers. So sometimes you can do that too. We do that. So our books are mass market products. Anybody can pick up our book, or our online programs. These are accessible to most people. Most people can access our online programs because we create the product. This product, for example, I've created. You could access it anytime. And these are mass market products. 1 million people, 2 million people, 10 million people, 100 million people can benefit from these programs which we have, and which they do in large numbers. And then we have more personalized program, and my personal time is involved, and those are valued much higher because my personal time is involved, and then there's a lot of care. And that happens with a lot of things. Even with music, there are different levels. So for example, you could listen to a musician, whoever is your musician, if it's A.R. Rahman or Ed Sheeran or whoever, Justin Timberlake, whoever's music you like, you could listen to it, either on YouTube for free. Then nowadays nobody buys CDs, or very few people buy any of those things. In the past you used to buy cassettes. Then a higher level would be, you pay money and go to their concert, so you buy their ticket. So Atif Aslam, or I don't know, whoever, so many people are there. Any musician you like, you go and listen to their Arijit Singh, for example. A lot of people like Arijit Singh, and his music is good. So you can go to his concert, his or her concert. That's the second level. And then third is a very high level. So they will perform at a wedding. Some musician might, or an actor or a movie star might perform at a wedding, and they'll charge 2 crores, 3 crores, 4 crores, 5 crores, 10 crores, whatever. They will perform for a private gathering of certain kind of people at a party or whatever, and they'll charge. So they have different segmentation. So one is, for the mass market, so YouTube. Movies, they'll, you might hear their music in the movies. The second might be, from all the millions of people who have heard, some of them will come for a concert. So we have our live seminars, people attend our live seminars. Again, that's like a mass market, it's like a concert. People come live, interact, enjoy themselves, get really immersed. And the third is really high level. So you can segment also what you're doing. It's very important to segment, because if you segment, you can target. So you need to figure out what is your business. Your business is best known only by you. That's what I tell people. I work with all companies, but I said your business is known best by you. So you need to figure out how you can segment. I can share with you strategies. I can share what has worked. So with Toyota, Lexus and Toyota, two different things. It's the same with a lot of companies. They do that. They create brands. It's the same with artists. It's the same with a lot of people. And that's a good way to go about it. If you can segment your customer bases based on, and the more segmentation you have, the more targeting you have, the better and more personalized you can. And in today's world, with technology, there is so much power. Your branding, your advertising, your ability to reach people can be segmented using technology. And you need to figure this out. So what I want you to do now, I want you to add a very, very powerful movie to your list. I want you to watch this movie. This movie is one of my all-time favorites. It's called The Pursuit of Happiness. It's a true story. It's based on a true story, The Pursuit of Happiness. And this story, it stars Will Smith, And if you study the journey of most actors, most movie stars, most of these people have had a similar thing. So, they have come up from nothing. So they worked hard, they worked towards their thing, they've used the power of their mindset, taken action, failed a lot of times and come. And Will Smith is somebody I really admire. So this movie, The Pursuit of Happiness, is a must-watch movie for everybody, because you can learn a lot about not only sales and business, but also about life. Some of you have seen the story, would know about it, but I'll give you a brief why I like this. So this is the story of a man, who's struggling with money, who's working in a job, but he has a big dream for himself. He has a vision. He invests in certain products, he wants to sell, and that investment fails. He's unable to sell those products as much as he wants. He loses a lot of money. His wife leaves him. He's left with his son, and now he has to come out, and he gets a job. And in this job, it's selling financial services products. He's getting no salary, and how, he's given a list of people, and most of the people who have been, and it's a job, an entry-level job. This man might be in his 40s. He's given an entry-level job. He has a son, who might be 8, 9, 10 years old, and he's given an entry-level job. He's struggling. He doesn't even have money to eat food. And he's struggling with his life, and he has to take care of his son, he has to manage his job, he has to make money, and he's struggling with his life. And one night he even sleeps on the railway station with his son. He sleeps in the toilet with his railway station. And so many challenges he faces. He's crying, but he doesn't give up. And when he's given a list of the potential people he has to target, most of the people, the juniors, start from the bottom. The bottom are the lowest. He says, no, I can't start from the bottom. He directly targets the highest people. So the people with the highest money, he starts right on the top. He starts on the top because he wants to make money quick. He wants to create effectiveness quick. And immediately he targets the best customers, the people with the maximum money, and how he approaches them, how he calls them, how he builds rapport with them, how he builds friendships with them, and how he sells. And not only does he succeed in his job, he goes on to become one of the richest people in America. That's the story. It's a true story. And that's what it shows. If you remember, I also shared, whenever we go big. Because if you want to do anything, do it big. Because that's the best way to do it, right? I'll be sharing some of the strategies, but please watch this movie. Very powerful movie, very impactful movie. And best of luck. Keep trying these things, and I shall see you soon. Take care, and make sure you practice it. Make sure whatever I've shared today, you practice it, implement it, and mix and match with the other strategies. So let's say you figured out your client, you figured out a couple of clients, you've searched them on the internet, you've figured them out, you say, okay, this is the type of client I want to connect. With the internet, it's very easy to research. You get onto LinkedIn, get onto any of the platforms, drop them an email, strike a rapport, speak to them, and the more you practice, the best it is. So best of luck, and I shall see you soon. Take care.